Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Now, before we get to my report from this week, which will probably take a minute because y'all know that I get pretty excited when this time of year comes around. Overall, fishing for silvers locally, decent. Definitely winding down below Bonneville. Tributaries, though, are going to get really interesting all up and down the coast and here locally, because if there is this amount of rain coming, starting, looks like tomorrow, as long as the forecast is somewhat accurate, we got a lot of water coming. We'll check with those river levels in just a little bit, but that's going to change things. So kind of keep that in mind and watch those river levels, because that'll have an effect on bays, tidewater areas up and down the coast as well. The more fresh water that gets into it, the less amount of salmon are going to be in them, because they're going to smell that and they're going to start going up into these tributaries. So it's a very exciting time. A little bit early to think of a real big freshet, but it all depends on how much rain we actually get. So things could change here pretty quickly. For some, for the better, and for others, you know, if you're just, you know, a bay angler, that could start to peter out a little bit if we do get a bunch of rain, but we'll see how that all kind of pans out. For me, though, and for turns out a lot of people, it was opening week of ducks here in the Northwest, and just an easy way to put it was productive. You know, local birds. I hunted 3 days, including a day of scouting, so I was out 4 days chasing these things around, and I saw lots of birds around. Again, I would call everything that I saw to be local birds, birds that have been here, either raised here or whatever. I haven't seen any migrators. Now, yesterday, though, in the afternoon, around noonish, I did have one group of 20 mallards, and that's the biggest group of mallards I've seen yet this week. It's tough to say. I actually kind of called them travelers because of the way they came in from the north. They seemed to be relatively high. I was able to get them to come down and work into the lake. Unfortunately, I was too greedy. I was literally trying to land them all. I only had one more bird to go, and I was just like, okay, I could get the whole group. Nobody was around. Thought I could get them all, and of course, with all those eyeballs and everything else, they decided to tail out. Let them go. Anyway, in the end, what my point there being was reminded by talking with another guy, could have been pushed off of some private land. It's tough to say. But at the very least, it was a productive week. Not a lot of mallards around. Seems like more widgeon than the last couple of years in this first week. Haven't seen, but a handful of pintail, maybe 5 total in 3 trips and scouting. So not a lot of pintail around, at least in the areas that I'm spending time. Which I thought was very interesting. Last year and the year before, lots of pintail around in that first week. So my dream of getting those 3 pintail in a limit, daily limit, just didn't happen yet, but I bet you it doesn't take too long to get there. But let's go ahead. I'll show you a couple of the photos. That was Monday, first day out. My buddy and I, we ended up just a couple birds short of a limit, but still a great day to get out when a little bit of wind and very sunny. Not your typical awesome, you know, duck hunting weather, but when you can get a decent shoot with nice weather, take advantage of it when you can. And certainly was able to. Went out again to a very public place just to try to make something happen, and got really lucky, quite honestly. All widgeon. Could have shot a complete limit of widgeon. The one mallard that I had as an opportunity wasn't getting out of there. I just couldn't, that's a tough one to say, okay, I'll let you go to try to get that clean widgeon limit. He had to go. And this was yesterday here, another limit. Widgeon and mallards have been really the key. I got one teal this week. That was on the first day, just trying to get on the board. You know how it is. But other than that, let's let a lot of pintail go this week. Let a lot of spoonies go. And for those that there are some that do get confused with different species of birds when it's dark. It's not a bad idea. I know it's hard for some, but it's not a bad idea to just not shoot, right? Not shoot, don't shoot. If you can't tell what that bird is, put the gun down, right? I mean, if you're not certain of what it is, does it make sense to pull the trigger? It really doesn't. In the end, great week. It was a good opening week. Pretty happy with that. So I got 18 for myself in 3 hunts. So feel pretty good about that on an opening day. All right, let's go ahead and show you some of the fish counts over at the falls. They've been updating, which is nice, but the numbers, as you can tell, as far as what people were paying attention to, where the silver's going over, wasn't much of a fishery there. I haven't talked a lot about it. I've hinted towards it, of course, not trying to upset too many people, but this will upset them anyway. People don't have a lot of time. I'll have a lot of time on their hands, I should say. But in the end, kind of be one of the ones that we're going to be taking off the board here, along with Bonneville, like we do each year. But let's go ahead and show you Bonneville, and you can see what's continuing to make its way over the falls, or excuse me, over the dam. 3,500 yesterday for silvers that made it over. The fishery up there has been, at least for the folks that I'm talking to, pretty darn good. I mean, pretty darn good, and some really nice silvers. There's been more. And if I haven't seen it on a scale, okay, but more fish by dudes that know exactly what they're talking about, 18 to 20 pounders this year than I can remember. And this past week isn't an exception. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Let's just hope that that continues forever. Then river levels, let's see if there is any sort of a bounce showing. Willamette not showing anything. Let's look at the Columbia. Whoa, that's interesting. The gauge must have gone out at Vancouver. All right, at least their forecast isn't showing much of a bounce at all, if any. Then taking a look at Bonneville, of course, that's not going to show anything when you're talking about rainfall. They may start dumping water, but there you go. Some of these tributaries are going to have a bounce, and some of these bounces are going to be enough to where you're going to go from not floatable to floatable with a fresh shot of water. I wouldn't even be that concerned with clarity. I'd be more concerned with just being there on a fall than I would be if it's perfectly clear. Silvers can be very catchable in off-color conditions. It depends on how you're fishing, if you're egg fishing, twitching. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go on there. But that big shot, that's going to change some things. It's not a freshet, at least by what they're showing by any means, but that is absolutely a bounce. That can change things, no doubt about it. Now, I think that's the last one. Is there another one? Right? That's it. Okay. So don't forget, send Jason at procure.com an email each week so that you are entered in for that week to actually win that prize pack. This is where things, and again, we absolutely love Procure for doing that for us. We absolutely appreciate that because they don't have to. And by all means, there is a winner every single week. As a matter of fact, this last week's winner was Jerry H. Was the winner of that pack. And believe it or not, for some of those out there that have this conspiracy theory that Procure is just making this up, and so are we here at Outdoor GPS, that this isn't actually a real giveaway. Clown. Are you kidding me? Give me a break. It's amazing how people have too much time on their hands. Here's, and I'm just going to read you a little snippet of an email that Jason received from one of the folks that apparently has been entering in for quite a while and hasn't won. Remember, there's anywhere between 200 and 400 people a week that enter. You're not going to win every week. And if you're upset about not winning, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, your parents could have told you something years and years ago, but to accuse a company like Procure and us here at Outdoor GPS of making this up just to talk about Procure, are you kidding me? One of the lines that he has here, I was just recently out on a couple of guided trips, 2 guided trips. This is from Jeffrey. Actually this fall, and the guides were even laughing about it, saying that it's a great way to just promote product and not giving anything to our viewers or customers. Please have Owen address this. If you got that much time on your hands, good for you. I mean, really, I'm proud of you. That's really great. But let me just be, rather than just being frustrated here, a lot of people don't like their names mentioned on the air if they win. More often than not, when I mention the winner of any sort of prize, there is a really good chance of blowback. So we just don't do that, right? Now, if somebody were to say, yeah, you can go ahead and mention my name, sure, we'll do that. But in the end, it's free stuff. And if you don't win each week, it's called a contest for a reason. And don't make up stuff in your emails. It's kind of laughable. Anyway, let's go ahead and cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to have a quick video clip for you. And it was really interesting how all this kind of came about, but we got a quick Chevy Silverado clip for you when we come back from this break.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Hawken Fishing, perfection in fishing gear, Ocean, and the Saltwater Sport Fishing Show. And by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest.